great civilizations of the past laid the foundations for our modern world. The Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans are celebrated as remarkable engineers, scientists, and innovators. But the history books have overlooked a magnificent period of invention when some of the greatest minds of antiquity would revolutionize scientific and technological knowledge. This is the incredible story of the machines of the East. The Eastern world is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Often its history is lost to the West. But today, we are discovering that the technology and science that shapes our modern world has its roots in a remarkable civilization that spread throughout the ancient Eastern world over 1,000 years ago. Incredibly, they had ancient handheld computers that had many of the capabilities of modern satellite navigation systems. Massive water-moving machines that harness the power of the earth to transform dry deserts into rich and vibrant cities. Complex precision engineering that developed components that lie at the heart of many of today's machines. And awe-inspiring war devices, including fireproof uniforms and even the world's first torpedo, capable of destroying enemy ships from 1,000 yards away. For the history of Western civilization, the demise of the Roman Empire was a decisive turning point. While Europe slid into the mire of the Dark Ages, abandoning the incredible advancements of the great civilizations of antiquity, the lands of the East flourished. In the void left by the destruction of the world's greatest civilizations, important developments in the science of mathematics, in medicine, in literature, and the principles of engineering were made. What took place in a flourishing 500 years between the 8th and the 13th centuries, known as the Golden Age of Islamic civilization, is now making us rethink everything we thought we knew about the ancients.
Many of the scholars, engineers, craftsmen were amazingly innovative, and it was at a time of great creativity.
As the Islamic Empire spread from the Middle East to India, North Africa, and across Europe as far as Spain, scholars of the East absorbed the greatest collection of knowledge in the world. Incredibly, over the next 5 centuries, the lands of the East became the center of education and culture.
Europe couldn't have possibly reached where it did without the contributions of these people.
From the period, call it from 700 right further up to 1600 and beyond that, because it never stopped. It was a world of learning.
By the end of the 8th century, one school of learning would lead the way in technological and scientific development. It was known as the House of Wisdom, the ancient world's Harvard, or MIT. It attracted scholars from all over the Eastern world and became a nerve center for decoding the ancient texts that contained the designs and blueprints for machines that had existed over 1,000 years earlier.
Early Arabic inventors took many of these Hellenistic and Roman writings, copied them, but also added and elaborated and developed some of these principles further.
There are intriguing clues in ancient manuscripts that Eastern engineers inherited a tradition of building automata, the ancient world's equivalent of robotic devices. Modern engineers like Professor Al-Hassani of Manchester University in England are now studying ingenious machines like the tea-serving girl and are astonished by the masterly use of technologies that we still employ today.
The tea-serving girl principally is a tank on top of a robot. This tank has a hole that allows the water or the drink or the tea to come out of it.
By using a tank that regulates the flow of liquid, the machine builders were able to astonish and amuse their contemporaries. A reservoir is filled with liquid which drips at a constant rate into a bucket. When the liquid reaches a certain level, timed precisely to 7.5 minutes, it empties into the glass in the servant girl's hand.